Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. I extend to you all a heartfelt, enthusiastic welcome to our esteemed conference, where we gather with international scholars from across the globe. It is truly an honor to have you here with us today, and your presence enriches this gathering beyond measure. In particular, I would like to highlight the presence of a distinguished professor who has earned global recognition for his outstanding contribution in the field of knowledge and civilization. We are privileged to have them among us, and I extend our special and warm welcome to our esteemed scholar, Sheikh Akram Nadwi. We'll start our program with the recitation from the Holy Quran. Now I am requesting Brother Mushfiqur Rahman to recite from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أرأيتم ما تدعون من دون الله أروني ماذا خلقوا من الأرض أم لهم شرك في السماوات ائتوني بكتاب من قبل هذا أو أثارة من علم صادقين.
Now I would like to introduce our guest, Sheikh Dr. Akram Nadwi. Though he is not unknown figure to us, but I would like to briefly introduce him with you. Sheikh Akram Nadwi studied and taught Sharia at the Nadwatul Ulama, India. He is a muhaddith, especially in Ilmul Rizal, the study of the narrators of hadith, and has ijaza from many mashayikh, including Abul Hasan Ali Nadwi, Abul Fattah Abu Gudda, Ramadan al-Bouti, Abdul Rahman Kattani, and Yusuf al-Qaradawi. Over the courses of 3 decades, he has authored, translated, and conducted research on many titles related to fiqh, Quran, hadith, and Sufi orders. He has published widely in Urdu, Persian, Arabic, and English on the Shah Waliullah, a critical edition of Usul al-Shashi in Hanafi jurisprudence. Original monographs on Islamic law, Quran and Hadith sciences, and figures such as Abu Hanifa, including his monumental 43-volume work on AL-MUHADDITHAT, the women scholars in Islam. He was research fellow at the Oxford Center for Islamic Studies, Oxford University, and is recipient of Allama Iqbal Prize for contribution to Islamic thought, and is the principal and co-founder of Al-Salam Institute. As co-founder of Al-Salam Institute, he continues to teach advanced levels of Islamic scholarship program. Now I kindly request Sheikh Akram Nadwi to deliver his speech on female scholarship in Islam and on Al-Muhaddithat. Faddal ya Sheikh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. I'm really honored and pleased to talk to you about my work, Al-Muhaddithat, or the Arabic title, Al-Wafa bi Asma' al-Nisa, the book which I authored on the scholarship of the Muslim women throughout the Islamic history from the time of the Prophet ﷺ until our time. And the book is, as many of you may be knowing, in 43 volumes. So inshallah, I'll talk about that. For me, if you're talking to scholars and students of Bangladesh is not something new. I did in the past as well. Last year, I traveled to Bangladesh, and I gave talks in many places, especially in Al-Bayt al-Mukarram. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As I mentioned, actually, it is a really great honor for me to talk to you. And as I mentioned that, my relation with the people of Bangladesh has been, for a long, long time. I remember I visited Bangladesh first time in 1984 or 85. And I went to Al-Bayt Mukarram and other places. And last year also I visited Bangladesh and I gave talks in Al-Bayt Mukarram. Originally I'm in India from Jaunpur. And the people of Jaunpur always have been, visiting and teaching and giving da'wah in Bangladesh, like Maulana Karamatul Jaunpuri and people like him. So Alhamdulillah, it is good to talk to you, especially on this topic of Al-Muhaddithat, the women scholars of Islam, which I worked for a long, long time. And one thing I'd like to emphasize now is that in Muslim world until now, the people don't give the right importance or respect for the women until now. Even actually, still in India, they discuss, Mizan is very keen how to renew the scholarship of Shahullah Dehlavi and, how to encourage Indian Muslims to move forward and to lead the world. But truth really is, in India, still they're discussing, whether the women are allowed to attend the prayers in the mosque or not. Though if you go to India, there are many, many mosques which have been built by the kings 500 years ago, 700 years ago. Those mosques have got a place for the women. They call it Zanana, the place for the women. They used to come there. But now, after 600 years, they don't allow any women. Some of those mosques have been built by the women, but, they don't allow. So that's how things are. And whenever you teach people that women can come to the mosque, they find it very, very strange that how women can come, to the mosque and pray there and, leave the teachings and all those things. Though, in my work, I really found that in every single place in Islam, in Makkah, Medina, Bayt al-Maqdis, Syria, Bilad al-Sham, Misr, Egypt, in all these places, women always have been learning and teaching and preaching, and people always used to come and learn from them. And people have no problem to learn from the women. So this we need to teach, bring this respect for the women in the society. I remember a fatwa in India in the last century. There was a fatwa given by major muftis in India. The fatwa said that the women are not allowed to learn writing, how to write. They are not allowed to learn writing. This is a fatwa given in India last century by the ulama, by the mufti of India. And when you read the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, his wife knew how to write. One of his wives, Hafsa, she did not know how to write. So then the Prophet ﷺ asked a lady, her name is Shifa bint Abdullah al-Adawiyya. He asked her to teach my wife how to write. Can you people hear? The Prophet ﷺ asked this lady, Shifa bint Abdullah al-Adawiyya, to teach his wife, how to write. And in India, last century, and 100 years after the Prophet ﷺ, the fatwa is coming that the women are not allowed to learn how to write. In India, you have got Deoband. Everybody must be knowing the name of the mothers of Deoband. There are so many students of Deoband all over the world, in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan, everywhere. They teach in everybody. But the last director of Deoband, Tayyib Sahib, rahimahullah, his mother did not know writing or reading. She could not read anything. They teach everybody all over the world, but they could not even teach the women of their own house. So that how bad has been actually in Indian subcontinent, about the women, or until now continues actually. If you come to UK, you can still find, many mosques in UK, in the north of UK, where women are not allowed to attend any prayer. It is not from Islam, because Islam actually is something different. It is somehow a culture has been developed where women have been forced to stay at home. They were not allowed to study in any madrasa, any school, any college, to attend, any prayer, any mosque. But when we see in the beginning of Islam, in all the mosques, like for example, the best mosques are, Al-Masjid al-Haram, the mosque in Makkah al-Mukarramah, or the mosque of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and the mosque Bayt al-Maqdis. These are the best mosques in Islam. Even in the Makkah al-Mukarramah, in the Haram, women used to teach in Hatim, and Hatim is part of the Kaaba. There have been many, many women who have been sitting there teaching people hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In the Medina, in the mosque of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, there have been some ladies have been teaching in the mosque of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, sitting next to his grave, where we are not allowed now to sit, but in the past, women used to sit next to the grave of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and teach people, and among the audience used to be ulama, scholars, fuqaha, muftis, muhaddithin, all these people. They used to learn. Similarly, in Bayt al-Maqdis, there have been many, many women who have been teaching. In Islam, any place where you can find really, where men are there, women also used to be present, learning and teaching. And that's why we have got really such a big, huge number of the women scholars. Like I mentioned in my book, there are nearly 10,000 women. 10,000 women I collected the biographies of them. This is how actually how much I got. And they were teachers everywhere. One of the teachers, Imam Bukhari, rahmahullah ta'ala, his name is Muslim ibn Ibrahim al-Farahidi, rahmahullah ta'ala. And he studied with the 70 women in the city of Basra alone, with 70. So you see, one person has got such a big number of teachers. Another teacher is, an alim scholar. His name is Ibn Najjar. He was in the 6th or 7th century of Hijrah. The people have mentioned in his biography that his teachers, female teachers, were around 400 women. 400 women. He learned from them the history, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the fiqh and fatwa. So throughout Islam, in every century, there have been many, many women, teaching, and the people who have been learning from them, and these women, they used to teach, the major hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, the main books that is written in Islam, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasai, Ibn Majah, and many, many others, they have been teaching. Actually, I found that Sahih Bukhari, which is no doubt really the most sound book of Islam after the Quran, and everybody knows that, people have been teaching and learning Sahih Bukhari throughout the centuries. But when you look in the history, the most sound copy of Sahih Bukhari was preserved not by the men, by the women. Until now, the best copy of Sahih Bukhari, the most sound one, the most reliable one, was owned by a lady. Her name is Karima al-Marwaziyya. Everybody said her copy is the best one. And now they publish, Nuskha Uniya of Sahih Bukhari, which is based on the Nuskha and the copy of Karima al-Marwaziyya, rahimahullah ta'ala. There are many, many books of the hadith. The only, people came to know about them, through the teachings of the women. Like Imam Tabarani has written 25 volumes, a book called Al-Mu'jam al-Kabir. That book was taught by a lady, her name is Fatima al-Juzdaniya, who died in the year 524 of Hijrah. She is the one who used to teach this book, and many, many ulama, scholars from Syria, from Iraq, from all over the world, they used to come to her village in Isfahan and learn from her. And one of our famous students is Fatima bint Sa'ad, from Spain. She was originally from Spain. She learned from her, and then she became famous. Similarly, in Syria, in all the mosques, in the Jami al-Umayyah, in the Madrasa al-Umariyya, in all these mosques and madrasa, many, many women have been learning and teaching the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and the fiqh there's a lady, her name is Zainab al-Maqdisiyya. She died in the year 740th year that she died. And among her students are people like Imam Dhahabi and many others. They study with her. Imam Dhahabi has mentioned the numbers of the book that people learn from Zainab al-Maqdisiyya. The number of the book was so big that it would be a load of a camel. And then I counted the books that she had been teaching. They are nearly 400 titles. Just think of it, the one single lady, she teaches the people, men and women, near 400 books of hadith. In our time, who is there among the men who teaches people even hardly can teach 4 or 5 books, 10 books. But this lady has been teaching 400 titles, on the subject of the hadith. So this really is something, from women, we should thank. Like one of the Imam, Abu Abdullah Hakim al-Naisaburi, he said that Muslims, for 1/4 of the religion, they depend on the teachings of the women, 1/4. 3/4 shared by the men and women, but 1/4 of Islam only comes from women. So there are many rulings in Hanafi madhab, in Maliki madhab, Shafi'i madhab, Hanbali madhab. They are based on the teachings on the hadith of the women. Many. Like for example, the Hanafi people, they pray 4 rak'ah sunnah before the Zuhr. Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, they pray 2 rak'ah sunnah before the Zuhr. Because the hadith of Abdullah Umar, who's a man, he told that the Prophet used to teach the 2 rak'ah before Zuhr. But Hanafi people don't do 2 rak'ah, they do 4 rak'ah. Why they do 4 rak'ah? Because the hadith of a lady, she said the Prophet used to pray 4 rak'ah before Zuhr. In Hanafi madhab, even the sunnah of the Zuhr, that's not based on the teachings of the men. It is based on the teachings of the women. Similar stories are, in other madhab in the school. How it happened? Because people used to respect the women. They used to learn from them. They used to accept their authority, their teacher. Nobody questioned really that, somebody woman I cannot accept. I remember once I was teaching in Cambridge, one of the ladies, she had been studying with me for a long time. She said to me that, whenever she goes to her house and teaches to, her members of the members of her family, so her brothers don't listen to her. They say, no, we can't listen to her because you are just a lady, a woman. We don't listen to the women. We only learn from the men. This is the attitude. People don't want even to learn, from the women. While in Islam, so many hadith have been learned from the women, many fatwas people actually have been accepting from the women, and great people like, they also have been actually learning from their wives. So, like Hisham ibn Urwa, he is the teacher of Imam Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, Sufyan Thawri, Sufyan Uyayna. He is the teacher of many people. But he himself studied with his wife, Fatima bint al-Munzir. And whatever he learned from his wife, he did not hide it. He had been teaching and had been narrating. Now in Sahih Bukhari, in Sahih Muslim, there are many hadith where Hisham narrates from his wife, Fatima. Now think really, another story I'll tell you. One of my students asked me, to help him to find a wife for him. So I said to him, okay, that's fine, but do you have any condition? He said, my condition is that my wife should not be more learned than me. So I said to him, what's the problem with that? He said, because if she knows more than me, I will feel inferior in front of her, lower. I don't want, to feel like that. So, find a wife who does not know more than me. So I said, no, why don't you think if she knows more than you can learn from her? In all these people in Islam, their wives have been more learned, and then they used to learn from their wives. And they did not hide their names. They should teach people that they have got this. The best book is Badaya Sanaya, the best book in Hanafi Madhab, according to many people. That book was written by Kasani. He wrote only to marry a woman. Because Kasani's teacher, Alauddin Samarkandi, he wrote Tuhfat al-Fuqaha. And Samarkandi had a daughter, Fatima Samarkandiya. Kasani asked his teacher, can he marry her? Samarkand, Samarkand said, no, you can't marry her because my wife, my daughter knows the fiqh more than you. If you can write a commentary on my book, which I approve, then I can marry my daughter to you. And then Kasani wrote this book, Bataw Samaya, which is the best book in Hanafi Madhab. And then Samarkandi married Kasani to his daughter because he wrote this book. So just think really that these women, they are so learned. And the historians say that whenever a fatwa used to come from a house of a mufti in Central Asia, the fatwa used to be signed by the man, his wife, his daughter, and sisters. So many women, they used to sign the fatwa. Now people find it strange that the women can write a fatwa. I remember in nearly 20 years back, when I wrote, published my work, this book, Al-MUHADDITHAT in English. So what some of my friends in England, investors, they said to me that, you should not write this book because, now, the world will change and women will start thinking that they can give fatwa. So I said, what's the problem with that? They said, no, we don't want the women because, there are enough men anyway. Why women should be mufti? There's no need for that, you see. Though in the past, women used to be fatwa and there used to be need. Now people don't want women to be fatwa. I taught in one of the mosques in UK all the day. And then the imam came to me and asked me, can we talk to you? I said, fine. So he took me somewhere in the corner and said to me that don't teach the people that women can come to the mosque. So I said, why? Is there any problem? He said, because we don't like women to come to the mosque. So, the thing is, I said, this is my book. It has got all the arguments. If you have any problem with the argument, just let me know. So anyway, the stories are, plenty, and, there are so many details about, all these things in my book that I mentioned. And my feeling really that, somehow my computer is not working properly. So I don't know how much you are hearing. So I think the best thing will be that, if you have some question that I answer, maybe that help you more, inshallah. So should we start some questions? Is there some questions?
Okay, Ustaz, thank you so much. Yes, we have some question. Now I am asking Muhammad Abdurrahman Zami. You can ask your question.
I have a very question in my mind. That is, in your observation, what is the main obstacles for female education added with Islamic knowledge in Indian subcontinent, and how we can overcome it?
Thing really is, in India, what happened is, since in India, since the fiqh became more dominant in the madrasa fiqh, and the fiqh was more mixed with the Greek philosophy and logic. So if you study the Greek philosophy, you can see Greek philosophers never restricted women. For example, Aristotle, such a great man, he used to say that women are inferior to the men. And one of the arguments he made it that women have less teeth compared to the men. The historians say actually is not right. And Aristotle had 2 wives. He could have counted their teeth the same like men. The same. That is the attitude really. And Greek philosophers, you can see their history, you never find any single lady. In the history of Greek philosophers, there are no women. So when philosophy came to Islam, in the families of philosophers, you don't find any learned women in Islam as well. In my book, with the 10,000 women, they are from Sunni, Shia, Hanafi, Maliki, Hanbali, Shafi, but no single woman from the family of philosophers. Philosophers did not like women to study. In India, madrasa, philosophy was dominant, and mixed with the fiqh. So whenever fiqh was, stronger, they did not allow the women to study. Until very late, when Shah Wali Dehlavi comes, he studies the hadith in Hijaz, he comes to in India, then he allowed women to learn. So there have been many learned women in India, but after Shah Wali Dehlavi. Maybe before him, few individuals here and there, but madrasa did not allow the women because the fiqh, like you see Imam Ghazali, rahmahullah, is such a great man. Nobody doubts his. But he also influenced by Greek philosophy. He has written a book. Its name is At-Tibrul Masbuk في نصائح الملوك. That is the book of Imam Ghazali. التبر المسبوق في نصائح الملوك. This book is to advise the kings. Main advice, good advice for the kings. So one of the advice that Imam Ghazali has given to the kings is that don't consult the women. Don't consult the women. And then Imam Ghazali said, and if you have to consult the women, then do opposite of what they say. So tell me really, if somebody writes a book and said, don't consult the Indians, and if you don't find anyone in the world, then do opposite of what Indians say, will we be happy? We'll be offended. People like Ghazali write, and they say about the women, don't consult them. And if you have to consult them, then do opposite of what they say. So this actually has been the attitude. And Imam Ghazali's book was actually main books in the curriculum of the madrasa. So when people study this thing, that's what they think. Like in India, even my teachers, they used to say that we keep women inside the house. Why? Because if you have precious things like pearl, precious stones, gold, you keep them somewhere in the hiding. Don't put some outside. You put them in secret. So that's why we put women there. So I said to the people, if a woman makes argument that men are more precious than the women, let's put the men in the boxes. Are men going to accept that? No. Women are not property. Women are not objects. Women are women. Women are thinkers. They understand what is good, what is bad, and respond to them. But now you treat women like properties. So this is what happened. The mind has been in madrasa that women are like property and men have to protect them. But that's not Islamic way. The Prophet ﷺ, the Quran actually makes address to the men and women equally. The address in the Quran is to the men and to the women. And both are qualified to listen to Allah, to carry out His command. So both are independent in thinking and understanding. And the Prophet ﷺ taught the men and women both equally. But somehow in madrasa, the teaching has been that women are not independent. They have to get the commands through the agencies of the men. The men teach them, their husband, their father. They don't learn from the scholars. So that is the reason really in Indian subcontinent. If you want to change it, so the best thing really is to change the mind of the ulama, scholars and teachers in the madrasa and teach them that what you're teaching it is not Islamic. In Islam, men and women both are equal, for everything, in the learning, in studying and teaching. And that actually is something not coming from the West, it's coming from Islam directly from the earliest sources that women used to learn everywhere. That we need to teach that, change that. Yeah.
Sister Nazia Apu, Nazia Tasnim, you can ask your question.
Assalamu alaikum, Ustaz.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ustaz, we are very thankful to you for your precious time and speech. Your words inspired us a lot. So that we have this opportunity again in future. Now I want to ask a question. Sir, you may know that Muslim families in Bangladesh are somewhat conservative. As a result, it becomes very difficult for girls to go for study outside the home. As a result, many talented and interested girls do not get the opportunity for higher education. But nowadays, many girls are highly interested for higher study, and they also want to work for the nation, for the ummah, and for the human being as a whole. In such a situation, when the obstacle comes from the family, from the own society, what should girls interested in higher education can do? How can they continue their studies while maintaining good relations with their families, with their surroundings? How they can make themselves eligible to work for the Ummah as well? Thank you, Ustaz. This is my question.
MashaAllah, it's a very, very, very good question, MashaAllah. And I really have seen all over the world, the women are really very keen to learn, to study, to teach, to serve their ummah. And in my class in Oxford, many girls, they come from, University of Oxford, Cambridge, they study my class. I said, in the class, women can come as the men come. And many, many times the women actually are much better, than the men. In everything. They learn, their questions are much better. They have so much concern for this religion. You know, many people say, among the Sahaba, the best scholar actually is Aisha the woman. She's the best scholar. She questions, she discusses, she argues, and then the people come and learn from her. Allah has given the women mind, like He has given the men mind. So this tradition that we actually, like, you know, I really don't understand. If I got a daughter and son, they go to the madrasa when they're 7 years old. And then after that, I said to my daughter, you stay at home and your brother can go to the school. So they will be confused. They will think, really, why my sister cannot come? This attitude really is not Islamic. The Prophet never said something like that, that women cannot come to the mosque, women cannot learn. He used to encourage them. So now it's the duty of the men in Bangladesh and everywhere to teach the parents that, you know, they actually, the women have same right of studying and learning as the men, the same duties. The Quran said men and women both are supporters of each other. Both of them command the good and forbid the evil. So commanding the good and forbidding the evil actually is the responsibility of men and women both. You know, there's a lady, Fatima bint al-Abbas al-Baghdadiyya, in the time of Imam ibn Taymiyyah, is a big man. She used to give khutbah, speeches from the member of the mosque. And historians like Imam al-Kathir said that this Fatima was able to reform the societies of Egypt and Syria so much the men are unable to do. She did more than the men do. So the women actually have this qualification, they're concerned. And women actually, what happening is, they do for the sake of Allah. Men very often they do for the sake of position, fame, and name. That's why Imam Dahabi and other people say, in the history of Islam, you find many, many hundreds of the men who fabricated the hadith. They invented lies against the Prophet ﷺ. But we don't find any single lady who lied against the Prophet ﷺ. Just think really, the women are so honest, so true, that we don't have any single lady who lied in the hadith. Among the men, there are hundreds like that. So many. All the fabricated hadith in Islam, they come from the men. No single fabricated hadith has ever come from a lady. So it is a big duty on the men that they must provide space for the women to learn the madrasa, the colleges, for higher education as the best as possible. If they need to travel, they should support them. So they can go anywhere, you know, in Bangladesh or outside Bangladesh to learn, to make things safe for them. So they can. So this is really very, very good question. And I really feel like, you know, it is sin for people. The Quran says, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. In the day of judgment, those women who have been buried alive, Arab tradition was, if somebody has got a girl born, they used to have so much shame. So they would bury her alive. She actually looking. They don't kill her. They just bury her alive. The Quran said in the day of judgment, Allah will ask all these girls who have been buried alive, what was your crime? Why you have been buried alive? So I say really that when you don't let your daughters to study, you are burying them alive because they could become like Khadija, like Aisha, learned women. But you force them to remain ignorant. They don't know anything. You force them. You are burying their talents, their skills, their mind. They could be clever people, but you bury them, they can't know anything. So sometimes people say that, women are not inferior to the men. I say to the people, if you force men to stay at home, just do cleaning, nothing else, they become inferior. Like many in India, in my village, they are much lower than the women in Oxford because those women did not have any time to study. If you force women just to stay at home, how can they be clever? People become clever by learning, by studying, by doing something. So this is very, very important that we must provide space for the women. Otherwise, really, it is like burying them alive. So your concern is right, but it only can be dealt with if the men, make effort and then they teach everybody that women have same rights for study as the men, inshallah.
Thank you, Ustaz. Now I am requesting again, Mardia Mumtaz Apu. If your mic is okay, you can ask again, please.
Yes, am I clear now?
Yeah.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. So, Sheikh, I had two questions. Number one is in Al-MUHADDITHAT, it's presented that many women work for and studied hadith and memorized it and work for preservation of hadith. So does that necessarily depict that only women are only allowed to do Islamic studies if they want to do study? Like now we see there are many other fields like medicine or engineering or economics, finance. So this example enough to allow women to do studies in these fields as well? This was my first question. And the second one is, in our country, the prominent universities are co-education. So if we go there, or if we ask our sisters to go there, they face this question that this is not a suitable place for you. So as men are supposed to earn and lead the family, or earn the livings, so they can go there, but women should not study in these universities where co-education is there. But we cannot afford the universities, but we have very little universities where we have only universities for women. So what can you share please your thoughts about it?
Similarly, my book is about one topic, the women of Hadith. But it does not mean women are not allowed to learn anything else. There have been women who are, studied the Quran, Quranic sciences, fiqh, there to be fatwa, tafsir. Also, I gave some examples in my book, the women who studied medicine, mathematics, philosophy, logic, every field. The book is for one topic, but women always have in any knowledge which is good, useful, for society, it is good for men and women both. So, Islam never stops anybody from learning anything which can be beneficial. So all the fields of the knowledge in our time, whether engineering, medicine, or anything, computer science and economics and this and that, women can learn anything where they can be useful to the society. So all knowledge are fine. Actually, sometimes people will get more reward in studying medicine. Like, if you don't have good female doctors, in Bangladesh, where Muslim women will go? Then they have to go to the men. Sometimes we need female doctors. So, if you don't have female doctors, you only have muftis. We don't need so many muftis. Actually, in whole Bangladesh, you just have one mufti, that's enough. You don't need it, but in people have so many muftis everywhere, in every village. They don't need them. But what you need actually in every village is good doctors, female doctors who are in every village, so they can help Muslim ladies. Try to understand really any knowledge that is beneficial to the humanity, to your society, that is Islamic knowledge. People should get them. So women should encourage for all the sciences, whether they are religious or secular. Secular sciences are also Islamic. They benefit the people. So this is important. Some universities of Bangladesh, they don't allow the women. I'm very surprised really. Then men should think about that. If they don't have proper facility for the lady, they should make effort to provide the facility. If it's not actually safe for the women, then make safe environment. Let people to learn how to respect the women. Like for example, in UK, it's not an Islamic country, but they have made effort here the women are safe. A lady here can go from Oxford to London, from London to other cities, come back, and she feels fine. There's nothing really, and law protects her, and the people respect her. So similar, actually, Muslims should do more than the non-Muslims. By Islam, actually, has more respect for the women. So in Bangladesh, certainly, the good people, the scholars, and they should come forward, reformers, and make effort to allow the women in the university same way as the men come. And if there is any problem of security, and they should provide that. And you have got a woman prime minister. I think she should be more concerned, and she should provide really the help for the women all over the country. So there's no excuse. People really must make effort that women in every university, they should be able to learn in the same way as the men are learning. And maybe sometimes you can build university for the women only. But some women maybe they want independent university. But generally, I feel really it is good for men and women to learn together, because when they learn together, then they understand each other. They can benefit from each other's question, discussion, and argument. Then men respect women because they can see the women are so clever. They respect them more and more. In Islamic history, as I have written in my book, classes always used to be together. Men and women are learning in the same class from the same teachers. Sometimes teachers are men, sometimes teachers are women, learning in the same class. So people should be able to learn in same class.
Ustaz, thank you. Now I am requesting Brother Hisham Al Numan to ask you a question.
Ustaz, many welcome and gratitude to you for your kind appearance among us. Ustaz, you know that in this new liberal world, as Islamists, we are facing a great question in women issue, that how we portray women in our life, in our society, culture, and religion. We have common answer that Islam has exalted women's Islam given their rights, but unfortunately we do not have any practical model or actual model to show them the reality. So Ustaz, my question is, what is to be done to resolve this issue in this contemporary world and our ongoing Muslim livelihood? Thank you, Ustaz.
And I think really the real model is the prophets and messengers. See in the Quran, in the women of the prophets and messengers, they are everywhere. They're part of society. They go outside. Maryam alayhi salam, who can be more pious than Maryam alayhi salam? But she's outside. She goes in the streets, people recognize her. If Maryam had been having niqab all the time, how could you know who is Maryam? When she goes in the street, people ask her, "Oh, Maryam, what are you doing? How are you?" How they talk to Maryam? It means they recognize her by face. Similarly, the wives of the Prophet, all these people, they used to go outside, teach. The most difficult thing is fighting. I cannot fight because I don't know how to fight. But there are so many hundreds of the women among the Sahaba, they used to go for fighting, for jihad and for war. It means there must be training in Medina how to fight. These women must have learned how to ride the horses and how to use the swords and how to fight. And when they fight, do you think they fight in jilbab? They must be wearing, clothes of the soldiers. That was Khalid ibn Walid, one of the great commanders in Islam. Once he saw somebody fighting very fiercely, Khalid asked the people, "Who is this man fighting so strongly?" People said to him, "Not a man, she's a woman." He could not recognize, she's a woman. The worst mixing in the world can be fighting in the war. The women go and fight, and Muslims they never stop. The Prophet one of the companions said, "My mother was fighting," and the Prophet said to my mother, "This is the man who attacked your son." Then my mother ran to him, and then she killed him. And the Prophet smiled. The Prophet encouraged the women to fight in the war, battlefield. If the women can fight, to do horse riding, and use the swords, what else is there? And now, if you go to Hajj and Umrah in Saudi Arabia, people who have come from, maybe you have gone, or maybe ask people when they do tawaf. Tawaf can happen without mixing? All the men and women are mixed to each other. If Muslim allow something like that, tawaf, why not in the classroom? Men sit and women sit on their own chairs. Nobody mixes. Nobody touches each other. But in the tawaf, nobody touches each other. Still tawaf is fine, tawaf is well. So we should understand properly, see the models in the Quran, read the women in the Quran, read the women in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. These women used to do business, farming, trading, traveling, commanding the good, forbidding the evil. They used to do everything. All the things that men do, women used to do. But the problem for many people working for Islamist students, problem for them is they don't read, these sources. What they read their own house. People take knowledge from their own society and the house. Basically, my mother used to work in the kitchen. That's what it means to be a woman. Many men think like that. That I've seen my mother working in the kitchen, cleaning the house. So if you're a woman, they do what my mother used to do. Don't take knowledge from your house. Don't take knowledge from your society. Take knowledge from the sources, from the Quran, from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. See how were the women at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Follow that model. That what Allah commands everybody. They must follow the Prophet, not follow your own ulama. Our ulama, they do mistakes. If you go back to the Prophet ﷺ, He is pure. He never commits a sin. The Prophet used to encourage men and women both, learning and studying. He never stopped any woman from learning. Never, no single case. In the most anywhere, in every gathering, he encouraged them. So, people working in the Islamic society, anywhere in Bangladesh, I would request them, leave your society for a while, just read the Quran and find out the names of the women who are in the Quran, what they do. Find out the women who are in the time of the Sahaba, the Prophet, what they do. And then figure how different we are from them. They are our models. We should follow them. So if you do this exercise, you will become very clear to you that we are the ones who changed Islam. Islam used to be something else. We changed Islam. The Islam that we have got, it is Islam of our society, Islam of our houses, not Islam of the prophets and messengers, not Islam of the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Brother Mushfiqur Rahman, you can ask your question.
My point was, as we don't have that much renowned women scholar, especially in Indian subcontinent, that's why whenever we sit with the opponent or West, they recognize us as anti-women mind or so on. So as you have been working for women revival boldly alone, so what is your opinion dealing with such type of question, or what is the future of this project after 50 years later? Thank you, Ustaz.
Now, alhamdulillah, scholarship among the women is growing. So I've seen in UK, in America, anywhere where women really are learning, they study with the experts of the hadith and the fiqh. And many women are preachers, they're teachers, they teach properly. So I think, inshallah, within 2 or 3 more decades, there will be more learned women in Indian subcontinent, in Bangladesh, in India, in Pakistan, who really can be source of inspiration even for men. Like in the past, men used to learn from the women. So soon the time can come when actually women will be so qualified that many men will think, to come and to learn from them. So we have to encourage them. And they are ready. Women want to learn. It is just facilities are not there. So once they are provided, you will see. So I have seen among my students, there are many women. I mentioned they are much more qualified than the men, much more learned. Their questions are much better. Their writing skill is much better. Their understanding of the religion is much better. So once women are given time and space, they will do best, inshallah, in the future. But the thing is that make effort, like wherever you live in Bangladesh, make effort that the women, girls in your village or your town, they are allowed to come and study and talk to their parents, talk to the elders of the society. Let the women learn, provide education for them. You young people can make changes. Just think that in my village, in my locality, I will make sure that every girl, she is given good education, proper education. If everybody make this intention, inshallah, change will come. Like I did. When in UK, women were not allowed to study Islam. But when I started 20 years or 25 years back, what I did, I said, every class, there must be women allowed. They must come. And then I started, now many people doing the same thing. They allow the women to come and they study, they learn the same environment. So now there are many more learned women. And we teach also over online. So, women can learn from, even from India. I met women from India who study with me, online. Same in America, Australia, everywhere. You people make effort, inshallah, that in my locality, there's no single girl who is left without education. I must make effort to provide every single help for her. If her parents say we don't have enough means, find out fees for them, find out a scholarship for them, help them. So inshallah, it will be a big reward and big service for your country and for the women, inshallah.
So if you have any ending comment, you can please make an ending comment.
No, inshallah, the thing really, I myself, my computer was not working properly. I'm very sorry. But the main thing really is that I'm really very much impressed by the people of Bangladesh. When I came last time, I said to the people, I never have seen people so excited as in Bangladesh, so enthusiastic. They really want to learn. If people want to learn, it is very easy to teach them. So I will advise all of you to make effort to study properly, and then also make effort to provide the same thing for your sisters, for all the women. In that, people think if we change the politics, we change the country. No. No country is changed by the politics. Country are changed by education. If you really want to change your country, make forward. The best thing is that education. Bring good education to your people. You cannot imagine really how advanced you will be. Even people are in the West, they will look, towards you, that how learned people in Bangladesh are good thinkers, good writers, good speakers. You produce, inshallah. People love you. People actually would like to seek help from you. So if you want really to make a real change and you want to make a real empowerment of the women, the best thing is provide proper education, inshallah ta'ala.
Thank you so much, Ustaz, for your speech and lectures. We are very grateful to you. Hope that we will get you again, inshallah. And I am going to thank all of our participants who participated in this conference and listen with passion. Inshallah, see you again in next conference. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.